Well, is this thing working? I can't really tell. Guess we'll see if people show up in the chat. Oh, pardon me, I just ate a chicken sandwich. Okay, double checking that this thing is live on Patreon. Looks like it is. Hello, Bastaman. How are you? And Giant is here, and Ninja Nerd is here. Speaking of Ninja Nerd, we were playing Rust on McKay's server not that long ago, just a few days ago, for the first time. I think you were on at the same time. I just wasn't in the Discord or anything. I'm also good. Thank you, Bestman. We're up to seven whole viewers. my question about McKay's Rust server is, how hostile is it? Do people often raid each other, or is it like everyone just wants to hang out and build things without being mean? Hello, much to do. Okay, we're up to 9 people. It's raid week right now. We definitely raid on his server. Huh. I wonder if anyone's broken into the base that Todd and I built. We took down an actual Nazi a couple weeks ago. Okay. That's good. I'm gonna get... Ooh, I shouldn't have launched that. I need something to take notes with. Here we go. Oh, nope. Don't want that, whatever it is. I have no idea what this is for, so I'll delete that. Okay. Hello, Jim. I haven't played a lot on it, but my impression is the server is mostly pretty chill if you're getting started, but if you got a decent base setup, you'll get raided. Huh. I didn't know that you played Rust, Giant. Maybe I did and I forgot. I forget a lot of things. Oh man, now I've got chicken hiccups. Chickups. Okay, so, oh, there's Fuzz. We tend to be nice to newbies, but after a few weeks, it's a free-for-all. Okay, I'm down with that. So, I need your help with something, because for the last, I don't know, year, maybe more, I guess, was it last VidCon that we almost got caught up with the vlog? I don't remember. The vlog has been behind for a long time, obviously. It's just like part of what it is, and it's rare that a video goes live without someone making the comment, you should rename this channel what I was doing 3 months ago. So, to help with that problem, I have been filming my life significantly less recently, so that I'm not also piling too much more onto the queue while we were working through the queue. The theory being that someday down the road, after we've caught up on all the stuff, it's kind of like starting fresh. Like I will film a video and it will go live a few days later, and we'll be back to the magic of how daily vlogs are supposed to work. But in the process of not filming very much, it becomes, well, there's 2 things at play here. One, when the vlog is not current, when videos are going live from months ago, it feels less relevant to in the things that I'm filming right now. Say stuff about, like, let's say that I was gonna stream on Twitch. Hello, Julie. I say I was gonna stream on Twitch later today. It would not have made sense for me in yesterday's video. I don't think I filmed anything yesterday, but if I was filming yesterday, I would not have made sense for me to say, hey, the day that this video goes live, I'm going to be streaming on Twitch, so if you want to come hang out at 6 p.m. or whatever, come do that. Because by the time that video goes live, it will not mean anything. So there's stuff that doesn't end up in the videos because the immediacy, the reason for putting it into a video is not there. The other thing is, in the process of not filming as much for the sake of letting the videos catch up with present day, a lot of things are happening, especially when it comes to cinema studios and business-related things that probably aren't being documented, and I'm not even really conscious of what the audience is currently aware of versus what the current reality of things is. So, I'm interested in finding out from you guys what are the current unanswered questions that you have as it relates to the vlog, so that I can start to make a list of those things so that I can address those and make sure that the audience, the community, everyone's on the same page with reality when we get this vlog caught up. I hope that made sense. I know that a long time ago, Michael Morgan talked about, hello, Rachel. I don't know why I called you Rachel, because, hi, Charlie. There was that guy who was in a truck by a taco place in Missoula, and he drove his truck into the river, and I guess he died, and that sucks. But for a long time, like, I introduced that this happened in a vlog, and then that never got answered. So that's just one example of something that I want to basically I want to understand what I need to update everybody on. This is not related, but Caitlin went to Burger King to get some chicken nuggets, and they didn't ask her what sauce she wanted. So I have sauceless chicken nuggets today, which is not the best. I do have chicken nuggets. Vlog cliffhangers, yeah. Kind of. Like, I guess I can start this list by saying probably there's some vagueness about how many people work at cinema studios. What do they do? You mentioned a project the other day in a vlog and said you'd let us know more later on it, but then never did. I assume that was Macmillan, and we were just talking about this in the office the other day. I'm still unsure about how to approach talking about clients that we have in ways that those clients are comfortable with us talking about them. Like, I don't think it's any secret that someone is a client of ours. We use that to try to attract more clients by saying, hey, SciShow uses us, Crash Course uses us, Macmillan uses us. I know that with certain projects, like with the Macmillan project, for example, everything that we're doing for them, they own the copyright to. So legally, we can't just slap it in a video and show you guys. We'd have to ask their permission, probably try to convince them that they're not going to be losing money, and that if anything, they'd be gaining clout by letting us post what we're working on. But the likelihood of them agreeing to that is probably low. All of this is a really long-winded way to say that I'm not sure how to approached that kind of thing yet. There was stuff in a video that, I don't know if it went live yet already, but we were talking about a client and some of the, I don't know, intricacies is maybe not the right word. A little bit of how payments work with a client. And I didn't know if we should leave that client's name in the thing, so I had Caitlin bleep it out of that video. I don't know why I typed in BAG. Just had the word bag in my notes. I don't know. When the vlog gets caught up, maybe for the sake of making it more accessible to newer viewers, maybe I should just do like a whole new introduction thing, like, hi, I'm Michael Aranda, I live in Missoula, Montana, I do these things, and I will do the rundown of my whole life. Am I going to do Vita? Well, I guess I could make sure that I film every day in April. That sort of defeats the idea of trying to let the vlog get caught up, though. Hashtag timestamps. Yeah, those were the days. Those were the days. I haven't gone back to watch any of those in a very long time. I missed the beginning of this thought. Are you talking about just cinema updates or personal too? Could you updates on the improvements to Woodhouse? Well, there haven't been any improvements to Woodhouse in a long time. The idea here, Julie, is that I think because of a few reasons, there's a disconnect between what the current status of everything is and what I'm doing right now community understands the situations to be. And I want to harmonize those two things. So I'm taking notes about things that I need to make sure that I bring up in a video when I feel like it's time to make sure everybody's on the same page. I guess I don't know that we've done a great job of explaining the physical office space of cinema. Has Bucket Light survived so far? Well, yes. It's one of those things where you see something often enough and it just kind of fades into the background. So it doesn't jump out at me as being bad. But when I think about it, when it's brought to my attention, such as now, then I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get rid of that thing. Do I still like my mattress? I'm considering getting a Casper. So here's the thing about Casper. It's hella expensive. If I had not gotten one for free, I don't think I would own. Not even I don't think. I would not own one. I sleep on my side a lot, and I don't exactly know how Casper's process works. They claim on the website that you customize your own bedding experience. I kind of wish that I had gotten one that was softer. And I know that you take a little quiz to figure out what your ideal mattress is going to be like. but I still find myself getting a little bit sore in the shoulders if I fall asleep. Well, inevitably I roll onto my side when I'm sleeping, but when I'm on my side, my shoulders still get a little bit sore. Isn't Casper cheaper than... I guess I got confused. Because I don't have a Casper. I have a Helix. So everything I was just talking about relates to a Helix mattress. I can't even talk anymore. Well, thanks for tuning in. Goodbye, everybody. Helix mattress is the one that I did that lets you take a quiz. I don't think I ever looked at Casper. The point of all of this story is that if you are someone who sleeps on your side, you necessarily need a softer mattress. And I think it, based on my experience, I think it's worth going even softer than you think you need. If you are someone who sleeps on your stomach, you need a relatively firm mattress so that, like, if you're face down, your back doesn't start to do that into the mattress. As a person with... I don't have childbearing hips, so my shoulders are the things that stick out and dig into the mattress, but I can see how if someone does have hips, that could be a pain point. When I first moved to Missoula, I bought a $200 memory foam mattress on Amazon. We currently have that in our guest room here, actually. And I think it was mostly fine. The only problem that I had with it was that in the winter, when the ambient temperature is colder, it's like a little bit too firm right when you get on it, but then as your body heat warms it up, it softens again. Other than that, I think value-wise, probably the best mattress I've ever purchased. Oh yeah, Charlie has slept on that mattress. Well, I've got a nice list of things to try to update people on when we get that far. Any Cake Tectonics news? Do you guys still find time to work on that project? Can't wait for the next episodes. Well, I was actually about to talk about this, let's call it workflow improvements. I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned just in growing up and trying to run a business. In my younger years, I overestimated, or rather, underestimated how much time things take. And I think it comes out of, especially when I was younger and just starting my YouTube channel, it seems to be the case across YouTube that there were a lot of people who were doing a lot of things by themselves. And when you're doing stuff by yourself, there isn't additional time being spent in communication and collaboration. So the smaller your team is, all the way down to a team of one, the more nimble you can be and the faster you can work. What I started running into was that when you are only one person, there is a limit to the total output that you can have because you're only one person. If you have 100 people editing video, you can edit more video than if one person is doing it. So you have to, if you want to work at a higher level of output, you have to start working with other people. And early on, I underestimated how much time needs to be spent to keep everybody on the same page, to keep everybody communicating, and to keep everybody feeling happy. Because if you cram 10 people into an office and just expect them to work for literally every minute of we have 10-hour days, there's no community culture or company culture being established there. There's no joy being found in each other's company. So all of this extra time has to go into overhead. And for the beginning of this company's existence, I think coming from a more like one-man show situation from starting my YouTube channel in 2008, I didn't realize how long it was going to take to do things. So, especially within the last 6 months to a year, we've been focusing less on trying to get a group of people to work on a whole bunch of projects at the same time, and instead trying to bring a person onto the Cinema Studios team who has just one or two responsibilities as far as creative output. When it was just myself, Michael Morgan, Caitlin Salem, and Todd Williams, there's 4 people trying to work on this daily vlog project, trying to work on Kate Tectonics, trying to work on Cut to the Tech, trying to work on things for external clients, and it's too much. You're biting off more than we could chew. Now the team is getting bigger, but it's not a situation where the team is getting bigger so we can do more things. The team is getting bigger so we can do the things that we tried to do at all in the first place. So, as this relates specifically to Kate Tectonics, that is the next project on the list of projects that needs dedicated personnel. Cut to the Tech was kind of in a holding pattern, making very, very, very slow progress until we brought Logan back to Missoula to work on that full time. So instead of trying to build up a giant team of people to work on a bunch of stuff, it's more like just standing up little teams, each dedicated to specific projects. Of course, bringing on more people means spending more money on payroll and employee benefits and snacks in the office. So it's, in a lot of ways, running this business reminds me of playing games like Factorio or Dwarf Fortress or Oxygen Not Included, games where you have resources and you're building these systems. Are there still snacks from New Year's Eve? Yeah, a few. You're building systems with a certain number of resources, and you have the ability, in, let's say in Factorio, to go and mine up way more coal, way more copper than you need. But if you aren't able to process all of that, if you don't have the systems in place to process all of that copper, then you're not balanced. Factorio especially is a good example of, you want to keep your factory balanced as you're playing. So as we're hiring more people into cinema studios, the cost of payroll is going up. So we need to figure out how to at least break even here. Like, I didn't create this company to become a millionaire. If that happens, great. But I'm more interested in creating fun, interesting, engaging, life-changing experiences, the whole gamut, putting those out into the world. And to keep doing that, the company at least needs to break even. So right now, well, we talk about this with the vlog sometimes, actually, because what I'm doing right now does not make money. Working on what I'm doing right now, like assigning someone to work on a vlog, means the company is losing money, a lot of money, because I think we're paying like $14 an hour right now per employee. If we're lucky, one vlog video might make $7. So to make it worth it, each vlog would have to take a total of 30 minutes or less to go from start to finish, which just doesn't happen. These things take hours and hours and hours and hours. So we're losing, I don't know, $50 to $100 a video, probably. I might even be underestimating that. But there's value in building and at least attempting to maintain a community of people who are excited about the things that the company is doing, the things that I'm doing with my life. So is it worth it? I think it is. A company, however, cannot run on excitement in the same way that there's been a backlash in the last decade against from artists against people who are like, I don't want to pay you money. You'll get exposure from working with me. Exposure doesn't pay the bills. So hopes and dreams don't run a company. Money runs everything. So finding a balance between making good business decisions and doing things because people think that they're fun has been like the main tightrope to walk during this whole running a business thing. Certainly without the vlog, there would be not even less Patreon support. I'm sure there'd be zero Patreon support. What is it at right now? $1,400 a month? Let's see, I'm gonna do some, oh, I don't know how to math. I'm gonna say, if all of that Patreon money went to only paying an editor to edit what I'm doing right now stuff, then probably that's paying for about 2 hours worth of editing per video, which is not nothing. But certainly it doesn't take into account, I think I haven't looked at it recently. On the Patreon page, there's, oh God, I just launched sticky notes. I hate sticky notes on, what version of Windows is this? 7, 8? Sticky notes on Windows 10 is all right, but this one, you click it and they explode all over the screen. I'm getting distracted. Where's Patreon? Oh, it's 12:38, so I overestimated how much money we're making. Certainly not uploading videos makes the Patreon money go down. That is a thing we have learned for certain. I thought there was a thing that had, like, what our goal was. Is that not here anymore? Is that on a different page? How does Patreon even work? Oh, there it is. I don't remember the last time we updated this. Months ago. Last year, I'm sure. But as of that time, it was costing us $9,150 per month to keep the lights on. And so even that amount of Patreon money going, if we look at it as going straight to the editor, that neglects that, like, we have to pay rent where the editor is working. We have to pay Dropbox to be able to have that software that allows us to move footage back and forth between myself and the people editing the video. We have to pay Adobe to be able to use Premiere and After Effects. We have to pay for our web hosting fees for this and for that. There's just so many little things, especially the Adobe thing, because it's like, I don't know, $60 or $70 a month for one license. And so I've got one. Caitlin's got one. Josh needs a license. Alicia needs a license. Logan needs a license. So just for the ability for people to work, if you've got 5 people at $60 a month, we're blowing $300 a month. We're blowing $3,600 a year just to be able to use Premiere and After Effects and Illustrator and Photoshop and all that. Oh God, don't remind me of the Creative Cloud charges. They are so much. Yes. Jim, you know all about it. I'm writing a major research paper about money and media creation. It's all very interesting. The debate between we make art for art's sake versus we make whatever makes us money. See, what we're trying to do at Cinema is split the difference. And we sort of purposely started thinking about our projects as either internal or external projects. And internal projects are the ones at Cinema that we are really excited to be working on. We're passionate about these projects, but they probably don't make money. And if they are going to make money, it's not going to be for a while. Kate Tectonics is an example of this. Everybody at the studio loves Kate Tectonics. They love working on Kate Tectonics, and they love putting Kate Tectonics out into the world. A, it's an educational thing, which by itself is hard to market. B, we don't have the resources to be putting out episodes at a rate anywhere near fast enough to build up a community of really passionate people who look forward to a new episode every week. So, if Kate Tectonics is going to make money, it's probably because someone out there is going to see it and say, oh, I really like that idea and I want to help make it happen. Here is money, which means Patreon or a big donation of some sort. If Bill Gates sees it and he's like, dang, I really like that. Here's $1 million to do it some more. That'd be awesome. The point is that internal projects don't have a clear and quick path to financial stability. External projects are projects that other people pay us to do for them. Complexly doesn't have an audio department, so they pay us to do their audio post-production on things like Crash Course and SciShow. Macmillan is a client of ours. They are a publishing company that, if you've been to a university, at least in the United States, I don't know if they work international, but if you've been to a school, there's a high chance that you have had to purchase a Macmillan book. And they are paying us to make videos for their digital content stuff. Do you feel like it's hard to generate views when you are somewhat competing with other educational channels like Complexly? One thing that I try to get away from is things being a zero-sum game, or that anyone else's success comes at the expense of mine. Because while that is sometimes true, I think more often than not, it is false. You might have noticed driving around that if you, especially in a city, if you come up to a gas station on one street corner, there's probably a gas station on one of the other corners. Why? Why does that make sense? Those gas stations are in competition with each other. Wouldn't they want to try to position themselves so they're like, okay, I've got my stuff here. I don't want to put my gas station next to that guy's gas station because then I'll have more competition. For whatever reason, there's this, I forget what it's called. There's this thing where businesses that are in the same business do better when they are near each other. It's not uncommon to find a grocery store in the same part of town as another grocery store. Like, towns often have, like, here's the area where you go with all the grocery stores and with all of the hardware stores. Here in Missoula, Home Depot is right across the street from Lowe's. Both of those businesses are doing better because they are located near where the other business is. So along those lines, it benefits cinema studios if the media industry in Missoula is doing better. If Complexly does better, the media industry in Missoula is doing better. There's another production studio down the street from us called Warm Springs. If Warm Springs is doing better, the media industry in Missoula is doing better. There's another place down a different road from us that's called like Windfall, or I don't remember, Wind something. If they are doing well, the media industry in Missoula is doing better. So all of those things help us. I think if you look at it on the most granular level, sure, maybe Complexly gets a job working on a thing that if cinema had got it, like that would make us more money in the short term. But if you zoom out a little bit, you want all of those companies to do the best they possibly can. So I don't feel a lot of that competition from other educational producers on the internet. I think if there's generally a thirst for educational content, that's good for us. And the more people who are producing more high quality educational content, the more people are going to realize, like, oh, that is a thing that I want to find on the internet. So that's good for us. You still have to make cinema somewhat unique, though, right? I think that's something that happens all by itself. One of the things that I've talked about before is how it seems impossible for a company to not take on the traits of all of its employees, but especially the people driving the bus. For my whole life, I've been able to make really highly polished, intelligent, fun, creative things. But it has always taken me a long time to do them. I'm slow and I'm methodical to a fault. And obviously, based on the way that Cinema Studios has been putting out stuff for the last few years, I bled that into the company. So I think what makes companies unique is the company culture. And that is informed by the people who see ya, Jim. It's informed by the people who start the company, who run the company, and the people who make up the company. I can already see ways in which people that we hired even just at the end of last year, like Josh, I think we hired him in November. The company culture is a little bit different now because Josh is here. And we hired Halicia in February, and the company culture is a little bit different now because of Halicia. Every person that you add to the team helps color what that company is and how it's perceived. And that's part of why it's so important in the hiring process to bring on people that are going to do good things for your company culture. You don't want to only think about your bottom line. You don't want to only think about their technical prowess at the job you're hiring them to do, but also how is their personality going to fit the company culture? How is their personality going to affect the company culture? All of that stuff is really important. As a person who works in a bookstore, I was curious if you were talking about the publisher. That's exciting that you were working with Pigmelon. Yep, it's the publisher. Talking about grants, what about the money from the state of Montana? Did it come with an obligation to release a certain number of episodes? The money that the state gave us was for 10 episodes of K-Tectonics. So we have to create 10 episodes, and at that point, we will then reassess the K-Tectonic situation, see if we feel like it still makes sense, either from a monetary standpoint or from an artistic standpoint, to keep putting resources into it. And, I mean, realistically, we're working on episode 4 right now, so we've got 7 more episodes to deliver, and we're at 2 per year right now. Realistically, even if we bring on someone to work specifically on K-Tectonics, it's probably going to be a few years before we hit 10. And it's impossible to predict. Maybe by that time, K-Tectonics will have 3 million subscribers, and of course it'll make sense on all fronts to keep making it. Maybe by the time we release the 10th episode, that video gets 73 views and people don't care anymore. It's just, who knows? But I'm sure we'll make a good, intelligent, informed decision when that time arises. I heard that about Starbucks actually being really good for small coffee shops owners. I don't know. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised, but this is why data is important. You can tease things out like that and figure out what the real story is. I feel bad that one of my favorite videos of yours is the voicemail is just the worst video. Why is it just the worst video? Like the worst performing video? Is Adobe CC the only version that would fit your workflow? CS6? We definitely could not run on CS6. We're doing a lot of stuff with, I forget what they call it, integrating After Effects compositions into Premiere with the dynamic text thing that wasn't a part of CS6. One thing that we are looking at, though, is Blackmagic has some software called DaVinci Resolve. For a long time, it was the industry, I mean, it still is the industry standard for color correction, but that was all that it did. A few years ago, they started adding video editing abilities to it, and they're really pushing that hard right now. Actually, when is NAB this year? April 7th. So in a week, we'll find out what the next Blackmagic stuff is all about. Anyway, this software is apparently fully featured now and can do audio as well as video editing right in that software. So I'm interested in seeing what it would take to move the workflow of some of our stuff, if not all of our stuff, over to Blackmagic software. The reason being, it's $600, I think, to buy the software, but there's no subscription fee. You just buy it once, and then you own it. Or rather, you own a license to it. And in today's marketplace, that's like a crazy fancy idea. But that would save us thousands of dollars a year. That, like, if we bought DaVinci Resolve and bought a full-priced version every year for everybody after that, it would save us about 50% of what we spend on editing software right now. Part of the problem is that, so Blackmagic's version of After Effects is called Fusion. And I have no experience with Fusion. I don't know what the software looks like. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it can do the same things that After Effects can. So that's the main question mark. If Fusion can replace After Effects, then I think it's going to be a no-brainer to move over. It's just finding the time to actually test that out in a way that doesn't screw up anyone's workflow. That's going to be the tough thing. It just seems like a short video that is somewhat a quick idea that has just been shot, quickly edited, and put online, and I love it. Yeah, it's certainly in line with old school YouTube. Such a different time. I was watching an old video sometime in the last couple of weeks, and I feel like I don't even recognize the guy in that video anymore. It's crazy. I guess I'm only 32, right? And I've been making videos for 10 years, so I've spent 1/3 of my life working on all of this stuff. Those were the days before people figured out all the ways to make money and started the arms race of ridiculous thumbnails and clickbaity titles. Looks like Marcus just went live on Twitch. Isn't it scary when there's no subscription that there won't be sufficient updates and improvements in the future? I don't think so. I think it will always be in a company's best interest to make their product the best that it can be. I'm thinking about other pieces of software that I use, like FL Studio to write music. That's not a subscription program, but like they're always releasing new versions with new features. And actually, the way FL Studio does it is if you buy the full version once, you get free upgrades to every version in the future forever, period. Like you never have to pay for anything ever again. So I bought FL Studio when it was on like version 7, and 8, 9, 10, 11. I have version 12 installed right now. All free. I think that's pretty rare. Most companies that have paid software have paid upgrades to the software. So, I mean, like Premiere or all of Adobe's stuff before they moved to the subscription model, there was Photoshop CS4 and then CS5 and CS6. You had to pay to upgrade to each one of those things. You had to pay full price for the software if you hadn't purchased one of the most 2 recent versions or something. But if you did, then you paid just the update price, which was maybe like 25% or 50% as much as the full price. Hello, JT. But yeah, I think that's a good model. If I ever release software, that's the model that I currently think is the best idea. Do you think that if everyone used their subscriptions tab instead of the YouTube homepage, we'd be back to good old YouTube mostly? I don't know. I guess I feel like the good old days of YouTube, the golden years of YouTube, are probably over. In that you can't especially when startups start up, they usually just get a bunch of funding from angel investors that allows them to do things that are not in the interest of making money. Ultimately, they want to make money with their product, but to be able to do that, they have to build up a user base because that has value. And the way to attract users is by doing things that are only in the user's best interest. So YouTube was originally much more community focused than it is now. If any of you youngins remember, you used to be able to give video responses to other videos. There was a built-in functionality in YouTube that let you respond to someone else's video, not with a textual comment, but with another video. The site was set up to use video as a communication medium between people. That doesn't exist anymore, and I can't see them putting that back in. There were no ads on YouTube originally. So there was no reason for YouTube to favor any kind of content over another because it was advertiser friendly. It was just like this free speech zone, and I don't see that coming back either. I thought about going to VidCon, but I don't know any of the YouTubers they're advertising. So I was not invited to be a YouTube featured creator at VidCon this year, which is the first year since VidCon was created that I've not been invited to participate. So I think I've said this for at least the last 2 VidCons that I've been to. I'm going to be surprised if they invite me back next year. But last year especially, like, it's just such a different world. I don't know anyone there anymore. The original set of YouTube creators have all gone on to do other things. Hello, Rebby. I think especially now that VidCon is owned by Viacom, it feels even more removed from, I don't know, the first few VidCons, being there with my friends who were also YouTube creators, it felt like this is us. This is us doing a thing to celebrate the communities that have formed around the stuff we've made. This is our way to give thanks to that community, to make this community feel like they're part of all of this. I can't look at VidCon now and say, yes, this is me. It's not. It's not me anymore. We're still going this year because we have a booth at VidCon, but it's become more of a business marketing thing than a community engagement thing. Do you feel like Bufferfest is better representative of the YouTube and online video community? I had always thought that Buffer Festival and VidCon complemented each other really nicely because VidCon celebrated the community. It celebrated the reason that any of us creators were able to make a living on YouTube. The people who watched the content. It celebrated them. Celebrated their passion for the creators and for the content. Buffer Festival celebrated the content itself. It put the content up on a pedestal like you were at a film festival, and we're not celebrating the creators, we're not celebrating the community, we're celebrating what got made up on the screen. And so that was like two sides of the same coin for me. You get to celebrate the people who are passionate about what I'm making at VidCon, and we get to celebrate what it was that I was actually making at Buffer Festival. Those two things together celebrated everything that I felt like needed to be celebrated. And as far as I can tell, Buffer Festival is still that. VidCon, I guess, is still that, but for other people, not for me anymore. It reminds me of there's this stereotype, I guess, of actors or people who used to be famous and are not anymore, and they have some kind of like resentment or bitterness about it. And to a certain extent, I can empathize with that because, like, being accepted by VidCon, being invited as a featured creator to VidCon, there's like this warm glow. VidCon is casting its warm glow on me, and I'm like a chosen one. I'm held up on a pedestal by VidCon, and that benefits me. And so not being invited to VidCon all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, we all saw it coming, that feels more cold and isolating, knowing that VidCon used to think I was special, but now I'm not anymore. But I don't feel any bitterness or resentment about it because VidCon is a money-making machine. I don't make money for VidCon, thus, from a business standpoint, it makes sense that I mean, I guess if I were the one in charge of inviting people, I wouldn't have any reason to invite myself either, is what I'm trying to say. You guys keep saying Arondicon, and it's a thing we've talked about. I don't really want to call a thing Arondicon. Because I'm not trying to make a thing that celebrates me. But in lieu of a different name, Arondicon, we've thrown around ideas about how to make that happen. The idea that I currently like is that my favorite parts of VidCon and Buffer Festival usually revolve around either being with other people that are creative people or being creative with people. And I would like to create some kind of thing where a bunch of people can get together in the same physical space and practice being creative with each other. If you guys, I talk about this all the time in the office to the point where Josh is now making fun of me for it, but there's a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers, where he talks about what makes people successful and what makes people experts in their field. And both as a result of reading that book and other reading and listening that I've done, I'm mostly of the belief that there isn't such a thing as natural talent. Parents especially like to say things about their kids like, oh, Susie's naturally talented at the piano, or Johnny's naturally talented at painting, or whatever. I don't think that's the case. It seems to be the case that people who are good at a thing are just more practiced at that thing. Malcolm Gladwell makes the case that people who are experts at something have spent in excess of 10,000 hours practicing that thing. The example that he uses in the book is, one of the examples that he uses in the book at the beginning is hockey. And if you look at the NHL, the National Hockey League, it's the case that many of the players are born in January and February. Now, why would it be the case that people born in January and February are better at hockey than people born in March, April, May, June, July, August, blah, blah, blah? Is there something circulated in the water that makes people in January better hockey players? It's just simply that at the youngest level, when people get into hockey, at some point they have to say, oh, like, okay, you guys are on this year's team, and there's a cutoff. Now you have to wait for next year's team. The cutoff is at the beginning of January. So when the cutoff happens, someone born on January 1st, this is happening at, like, let's say, age 5 and 6. When the cutoff happens, the kid who is born on January 1st is the oldest out of everybody else behind him. And the difference between a 6-year-old kid and a 5-year-old kid is massive. The almost 6-year-old kid is going to be bigger and heavier with more muscle tone and more dexterous. They're probably going to be better at hockey just because of that. Not because they're more naturally talented, but their bodies are shaped in a way that lets them do it more easily. So you put all those kids onto a team, and the older ones are naturally going to seem better, which is going to make the coaches say, oh, those are the talented ones. Those are the ones that I should be focusing on to cultivate their love for hockey. And now, because they're getting more resources from the coaches, they're more likely to keep playing hockey. The ones at the back end who didn't do as well to begin with, they're not getting the coach's attention. Maybe they drop out next year before you know, you move up to year 2 of playing hockey. So over time, the better kids are getting singled out by coaches, given more attention, given more resources. They're more likely to have fun playing the game because they are good at it, and they float to the top. Over time, that manifests itself at the highest level of hockey. You have a bunch of people who were born in January and February just because when they were 5 years old, they were a little bit bigger than the people who were just barely getting out of their 4th year of existence. So along those same lines, when I was growing up, my mom was a recording artist. I got exposed to music at a very young age. So by the time I went into 6th grade, which is when I decided to join band, I was noticeably better than most other people in my class, to the point where my teacher singled me out and said, I think you would do better if I immediately moved you up into the 2nd year program instead of the 1st year program. So right off the bat, at a younger age, I'm getting better teaching when it comes to school. I mean, when it comes to music at school. And I don't know, how old was I when that happened? I must have been 10, 20 years later. Everything that I've done musically has been built on the back of that. So I don't think that I'm naturally more talented at music. I think my situation, my there's a word that I'm forgetting. My privilege allowed me to become more practiced at music at a very young age, and that just blossomed into me seeming like a more talented and more naturally talented musician than people my age. And I think in general, people underestimate how much privilege they have in a thing and how much luck goes into what they're good at. Don't even remember why we're talking about this anymore, but that's a thing. Oh, we were talking about Arondicon. And the reason that I want to get people together to practice being creative. Because practicing, regardless of what anyone wants to do, practicing is the way that you get good at a thing. I was just in Texas with Michael Morgan and Todd and our salesperson Nancy, and my uncle lives in Texas, and we met up for dinner. And one of the things that I was talking about, because he's raising a, I don't know, daughter. I don't remember how old she is. But I was telling him that I think one of the mistakes that my parents made in raising me was, from a very young age, they praised me for being one of the best looking kids in my class. They praised me for being the most naturally talented. They praised me for being naturally the smartest. And none of those things requires anyone to put out any effort. So what did that do to me? That made me think, oh, I'm naturally talented and naturally smart. That means I don't have to try for anything. I don't have to put out any effort to do well at stuff. So I didn't. And it instilled from a young age this intense laziness in me. Whereas I believe if my parents had instead praised me for doing good work, for praising the amount of time that I invested in doing something, that would have instilled this love for putting effort into stuff. So I was telling my uncle this in hopes that he might try to do that for my cousin, because she's still pretty young. But it took me a long, long time to get over that innate laziness that I mostly blame my parents for. Practice and effort, spending time doing a thing, is in my mind the only way to get good at a thing. And I want to get a bunch of people together to practice being creative, doing things that they might not have otherwise put the effort into doing, thought about doing, because so many times in being creative, things you don't think are related to what you're trying to do can be applied. And so, like, I'm not a very gifted artist, painter, drawer of things, because I've not spent a lot of time in my life practicing that. So maybe spending some time practicing drawing under the direction of someone who is good at that and can help direct my practice might benefit me in my ability to help other people visualize what I'm trying to explain to them in creating a thing. If I become more fluent in the language of creating visual representations of thoughts that I have, that could benefit me in who knows how many ways. I blame my terrible GPA my freshman year of college on this exact issue. Creative Con, maybe that's what we'll call it. I was 10 days from the cutoff birth date, ended up with older kids. I struggled for 3 years till my mom insisted they hold me back. After that, I did great. Yeah. There's something to be said about practicing among people you trust. If any of you guys watched, what is it called? Wild Wild Country on Netflix. I just finished it a few days ago, and they talk about it's about this cult of people who followed this Indian guru named Bhagwan, who they bought a ranch in Oregon near a town called Antelope that had 50 people in it. And they moved this group of followers of this guru that numbered in the thousands to Antelope, Oregon. And it created a bunch of conflict between the locals. But when they're talking about what they did in their little commune, like 80% of it, I was like, that sounds freaking awesome. Like, it's just a bunch of people who got together who weren't trying to be judgmental about each other's wants and desires. They just wanted to be around each other and live and be creative and paint and draw and write and blah, 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 blah. There's the whole part where they, like, sort of deified the leader of the group, which was hella creepy to me. Like, his pictures are just everywhere, and I'm like, why can't a group of people get together and be creative and support each other without having to put pictures of one particular person all over the place? That's weird. And then there's this whole other part where the leaders of the cult were, like, trying to commit murder and poison entire towns, and they're committing immigration fraud and all that. Aside from that, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Anyway, I'm not very creative, but I'd love to go and learn how to be creative. Well, like I've been talking about for the last 20 minutes. I think being creative, like anything else, is just something that people have to practice. My mind is open to the point where if someone shows me evidence to the contrary, then I'll buy into it. But so far, I don't buy into the idea that there are people who cannot be creative. I think it's just another muscle that needs to be worked out like anything else. And Ariana, if you want to become creative, you don't have to be. I don't think there's anything inherently more noble about being a creative person versus someone who dedicates their life to something else. But if you want to be creative, I think you just have to practice. I feel like if you get people together to be creative, inevitably people will get distracted, or if they're trying something they're not familiar with, and they won't be really productive. Yeah, that is certainly a danger. Yeah, with guided instruction. Well, we've gone 20 minutes over because I went on this long rambly thing. But thank you everybody for hanging out with me on this Saturday and or Sunday, depending on where you are in the world. If you haven't seen it yet, we finally launched Cut to the Tech. It can be found at youtube.com/cuttothetech. If you're interested in watching tech reviews that aren't rambly, that are short and punchy and straight to the point, that's where you'll find them. It's been a thing that I've been working on and ideating for a long time, so I'm happy that it finally exists in the world. Logan is working on that project full time, so you know, new episodes will be showing up at least once every 2 weeks, and after we build up some clout, hopefully we can get companies to be sending us stuff on a more regular basis to where we have weekly reviews, or even more if the Cut to the Tech team ends up growing in the future. VidCon, as I mentioned, we are going to, so if you're in the Southern California area and want to come out to our booth at VidCon, certainly double check that you can swing that monetary price, but we'll be there. We might look into trying to do something in the Southern California area, just like as a general meetup for people. That's something that I've always wanted to do when we go to events like VidCon or South by Southwest, but just in the chaos of scheduling things that ensues, it always falls off the agenda. But doing something like that would be fun. Preferably not all Apple products. Agreed. I use Apple products, I like them, but I want to make sure that it's a show that has something for everybody. Anything else coming up in the immediate future? Let's see, we're in April. No, not that I can think of now. So, happy April Fool's Day, everybody. Keep your skepticism high. And oh, Rebby's birthday's coming up. Happy birthday, Rebby. I'll see you guys sometime in April for another New Year's live stream. It's probably already on my calendar. I just don't know when it is yet. Charlie, if you happen to know when that is, well, let me know. It won't be as great as last year, though. Well, sorry. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or evening. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Charlie says 1 second. She's probably looking up the date. So I'm just going to stall some more while I wait for that information. Kyla says bye. Nathaniel says bye. 5th HP says bye. April 28th. Put it on your calendars. That's when we will have our next live stream chat. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Also, I'll probably be streaming on Twitch later. Also, Todd is going to stream on Twitch. So if you want to go watch Todd stream on Twitch, his Twitch handle is twitch.tv/dadbodtodd. Okay. Goodbye. Woo! Oh, that says we'll begin shortly. We will not. We will end shortly. I'll just get rid of that. Okay, bye!